This is Joe's Corner 76. I'll be talking to you about the human condition. In order to change it, we need to be involved. Canada. Does it need a reset? I wonder. Voting, terrible. People are apathetic. They're not getting what they want in government. Honesty in government. We know we're not getting that. We live, it seems, in a nation of a victimhood. Everybody wants somebody to be blamed for something that happened to them. It seems that everywhere from politicians to the average man, accepting personal responsibility for some of your actions seems to be a thing of the past. We live in the woke generation. That means that I have an agenda that I think is important for every one of you. And if you don't agree with it, I'm going to shame you, I'm going to shut you out. Hey, the other thing we can do is use the cancel culture to just cancel you. Oh, we said you did something, you're automatically guilty. You haven't had a fair trial, but you're tried by the media. Why? Because it gives them something to put out. They don't care about truth anymore. The media, it used to be a place where you got differences of opinions, and if it was an opinion, your reporter said it was an opinion. If it wasn't, they reported the facts. What they wanted to do was give the public what the situation is and what was happening. That's no longer true by a lot of the liberal media. They have particular political bends and they follow them. They don't follow the truth. When we look at personal responsibility and acceptance, we find now everybody, wherever you go, wants to be a winner. When you go to schools, everybody gets a prize. However, in life, when they grow up, they're going to find out that not everybody's a winner. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying people shouldn't participate. I'm not saying people shouldn't be valued for their efforts. I'm not saying people should be put down. But some people are better at some things and some people are not good at some things. We all have a gift, and that's what we should value and cherish. When I look at education, I'm amazed. Literacy rates are down, mathematical rates are down, and you think these highly paid teachers and teachers' unions would be vastly concerned, and they'd be trumpeting, we've got to change it, we've got to improve it. But no, they don't feel that tests are necessary. They're not a measure of the child's full potential. I'm thinking that in a real world situation, when these kids grow up, they're going to face a test. It's the test of life. Can they do what's required in a job? Have they got the training? Have they got the education? No employer is going to think they're special and that they have to make accommodation. If they can't make the cut, they're going to be gone. Isn't now the time to teach them? Also, isn't it now the time to teach each child to struggle to reach his full potential? Reaching your full potential is the goal. And that's what the education system should be. Why do boards of education and teachers' unions push political agendas? They're very leftist in many cases. They are talking about subjects which, in my opinion, have nothing to do with education. Things like, let's talk about transgenders in kindergarten. Let's talk about what they should be or what they shouldn't be. Let's not worry about if they're getting an education. let's not worry about if they know what competition is. And when I look at society as a whole, haven't we gone down the rabbit hole? We've legalized marijuana, which I guess is okay, but what's next? What I'm talking about is, are we not enabling people to enjoy their vices instead of helping them to get off it? When I look at violence, hasn't there come an acceptance of violence in the society? It seems to be every day we hear about a murder, every day we hear about a shooting, yet we hear the government's eased the sentences for gun offenses. We see the government talking about banning guns from being imported, and illegal guns, legal gun owners not being able to practice the use of their arms for that they train for. But they sure as hell aren't seeming to do anything about the illegal guns coming into the country. At one time, it seemed Canada was the land of opportunity for everyone. The government said to itself, we are going to set the conditions for economic growth and let industry go ahead and do it. And capitalism, in that sense, has worked. It's lifted more people out of poverty than any other system in history. But what it valued was individual initiative, individual enterprise, individual effort to achieve success. Now it seems that the government wants to put their paw on everything that's going on. One, look at our energy industry. They are trying to close our fossil fuel industry down when they won't face up to the fact that green energy doesn't work at this point in time to fully replace fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are here to stay for many years to come. The world wants them. Why is Canada and why are the people not screaming? We want the pipelines built. We want to benefit from the income that we get. We want all Canadians represented, not just certain groups who are opposed to fossil fuels, but who, if you look at what they do and where they fly and how they get there, sure seem to enjoy the benefits of them. When we look at economic responsibility, these governments that we have now seem to have forgotten that it's our money, not theirs. They seem to think that they have a machine to keep printing money, keep printing money, keep printing money. What have they done? They've created inflation. Who suffers? You. Who suffers? Me. Who doesn't suffer? The elite and those. A lot of the people that have government jobs haven't suffered. They've done well. The average man's not doing that well. When I look at our place, Canada's place in the world, we've lost confidence of our allies. We've lost the respect of the world. We're kind of a laughing stock. When we look at the military, what a proud history they have until now. It seems that everything the military does is politically motivated. Sure, there are problems within the military, but there doesn't seem to be a government that wants to solve them. They can't get enough recruits. Look at the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They have a large presence in the Arctic. We have a large presence in the Arctic. Are we prepared to defend it? Can we send our forces there to show that this is ours? I don't think so. Are we spending enough to equip our military to prepare them for the job that they need to do? Do we not stop realizing they're not a social agency for change, but rather a fighting force to protect us? Are we now in the position of becoming a dictatorship by gradual process? By that I mean our freedom is gradually being eroded. The government's proposing bills as to what we can and can't say on social media. The government's proposing that government bureaucrats decide what is hate literature and what isn't hate literature. The government is proposing that we can be charged with hate crimes, and the people that process and charge us, saying we created a hate crime, can get off scot-free, even if it's found out that it's not been proven to be true. You could end up paying the bill for something you didn't do. When we look at the media, people have now come to the point where they rely on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the internet. You know, there's so much stuff on there that's absolute crap. You've got to start going back to what is the truth? How do I find it? What's my opinion? Am I going to investigate it? Can I make a decision? You're going to have to go back to say, hey, this is my country. Every one of us is a Canadian. But being a Canadian has a responsibility. That means being involved in your system, looking at what's right, looking at what's wrong, saying I can be a force for change, even if I only vote. Can we not remember what price was paid to get our freedom? How many died? And oh, come on. Let's get over this white guilt trip. The vast majority of us have nothing to do with white guilt other than we were born here. We don't have to be ashamed of our color just because of who we are. We want, as Martin Luther King said, to be judged by our character, not the color of our skin. We need to have our own place in the country too. We need to stop letting people say, oh, this European colonialism is terrible. We need to stop people saying, well, mathematics are racist because they were developed by Europeans. Oh, come on. Every last one of us benefits from mathematics. We use them in our engineering, we use them in our transport, we use them in a car, we use them in every aspect of life. It's mathematics. Mathematics is a system that tells you the truth here. It's either right or wrong. Come on. Our educational system, we do not need to teach race theory. We do need to say, this was wrong, slavery was wrong, we've done harm to our indigenous people. We need to acknowledge that we are also working hard to correct it. And if you talk about the past history of slavery, please open up the doors so that they discuss slavery right from the time of Africa right through to when they were transported over here. Give us the full picture. Hey, please, don't rewrite my history to fit your narrative. Stop judging history by your narrow leftist today ideology. What they did was then based on the circumstances they had and what they knew. They did great things and they did bad things. Please, stop trying to change history. Tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what we want to hear. We also want people who come to Canada to integrate. I would like to see us stop becoming a nation of tribes, where one group lives here, one group lives there, and they stick to their own customs, and we're not getting the kind of integration we used to have. I'm so tired of the poor economic management of the government. But I'm also so tired of so many people who think the government owes them a living. I want to see the Canada I knew, and which I think you'll want, that has freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom to work where you want and how you want, freedom from hatred by law, not by opinion, trial by guilty or not guilty, not by the media, a free press, not a press supported by the government and the press going to support the government, but rather free press. I would like to see the return of individual responsibility, the acceptance of, yes, some things I can't change, but some things are my fault. What I'm looking for is a reset to a Canada that's free, that's respected, and can sustain itself, provide us with security, give us energy security, and give us the hope for a bright economic tomorrow. Tell me, I'd like you to think about this. Do you think Canada needs a reset? You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Joe's Corner 76. You can hear me on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Radio Public, Stitcher, and YouTube at Joe's Corner 76.